Hi ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Share Your Grin. Today, we are going to be checking out a series and a game that I am in love with, man. This is one of this game makes me laugh so hard whenever I hear people talk about it, because it's the same shit for everyone, where it's just like, dude, you already had me at the end of the first game. You already had my money for a fucking PS3, a 4 or 5, whatever it is. Already. As soon as I beat this damn thing, I was so sold. This is one of the best games I've played in the last decade, my guy. This is amazing. Very big fan of the series. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be going through and breaking down, more or less just getting hyped for the game. I'm so excited that we got another sequel. The game, man, it came out, well, it didn't come out of left field. I thought I would like it a lot, and to me, like, I never really got into the whole Last of Us thing, because I wasn't really caring about, like, oh, it's another zombie apocalypse, oh. You know, but this shit, man, I was so sold. Also, I'm so surprised she's back. There was weird stuff with her and the Valkyries and shit, and gah. But anyway, she's back and she's cooking, and she ain't happy about it. Anyways, we'll get into breaking down anything in the trailer-wise. But guys, so first of all, one thing that you might notice while watching the trailer is that our boy Atreus, he sounds like a little man. He sounds like he grew the hell up. So Atreus has hit puberty and his voice changed heavily. He is the same voice actor though, which is wild. But also because of that, I don't know if they planned on this, probably. Just because I can imagine how long it took for the voice acting to when it was done to when the game was realized and put in the game. So I could totally see them planning, like, oh shit, the voice actor, it's gonna take a long time for us to animate all of these lines and like make it finished. Fuck, let's, if this also works out, so let's plan that in the story. So basically Atreus, this is years later, a couple years later. I would assume Atreus is like 10 or maybe 9, or let's say 10 at the end of the first game, maybe less. And in this game, he seems like he's like 14, 15, maybe 14, I would say. At least that's what he looks like. And this is what people, like the God of War people, the intention for God of War in terms of the series was for Atreus to eventually take the mantle, which at first I was like, what are we talking about? And then you get like through like half of the game and you're like, wait, no, I like Atreus. I like Kratos, sorry. I like Kratos a lot. I want to not play Kratos. I like playing Dad of War. All right? I want to not play Dad of War. But then as we're progressing and you're like, no. And it's weird because they do a good job about like you being like, no. Atreus is our boy too. You know what I mean? Like we gotta take care of we gotta make sure he's okay. And then they drop the fucking bomb on you. The game has already been out for a while. I won't spoil it, but they drop the bomb on you. We're like, no. This character, he's got some depth to him, And if every other character is in this godforsaken, literally world, is like shitty, like all of the gods are assholes, more or less. But you're being parented, or quote unquote a god is being parented by a god that's already screwed up like for a lifetime, then maybe the Loki that, well, I've already fucking spoiled it, but maybe the Loki that we know as being kind of like a cruel, sadistic, weird, trickster and all these things, being his dad, is not going to be so demonstrous and such. Also, there's so many cool cutscenes here. Anyway, we'll go through all that in a hot minute. I just haven't talked to you as much as I want to about all this stuff. Also, oh my god, yes, look at that. You tell me you don't want to play that, man? Oh, but also Atreus hasn't come into his own yet in terms of his like God of War ability. Every time he starts to channel it, he he gets polluted because of his neglect for who he was, or for his lack of understanding for him being a god. Also, Tyr be tall as fuck. Oh my god, look at that mustache and beard. Also, his eyes scaring the shit out of me. Anyways, but my point I'm actually very excited, especially for this. If this cute loveliness is what the future games hold for us, because people are suspecting that at the end of God of War, Ragnarok, that is going to be ending the Norse story. So we're going to be taking down Thor and ideally his dad in this game, and then we may be moving on to the next game. But I don't know because if the intention is for us, like for Kratos to pass the torch to his son, I don't know if this will happen in this game or the next game. So will we have Dad of War 2 in Egypt and we'll be able to see Kratos thrown down with some Egyptian gods? Or will this be the end of Kratos' story and we'll play Atreus? I don't think Atreus is old enough, although that would be a kind of, if the game ended and Kratos passes away or maybe dies poetically and like softly, and then Atreus is like, okay, it's time for me to go out and like become my own man. having been raised by one of the greatest men, or one of the brutalest, ferocious most men on the planet. Basically what I'm getting at is what happens if it takes place like 4 years after the events of God of War. So yeah, Atreus is like, what, 15 or 14? So then the game will pick up when he's like 18 or 20, going into Egypt, maybe with this character, and maybe with our side character on our hip, our Norse traveler, whatever he's called, the weird immortal headless man. Maybe we'll go on an adventure with him. But also to me, like, I don't know, depending on how well they do the story of Ragnarok, and how developed Atreus is, because in the previous game, Atreus had moments where he was kind of just an arrogant kid, and you're like, what the hell? But he also was dealing with a lot of shit, so it makes sense. But if they, throughout the course of this game, Kratos, you can tell Kratos is like getting old and more tired and more like whittled away. And then we start playing Atreus as a main protagonist, and then we start having her as our kind of like companion / other person. And given if they make this character like super charming, super interesting, super like all of these things, then maybe we wouldn't mind seeing a character like this go to Egypt with Atreus and fuck shit up or do all these things. But this game, at least in my opinion, will really be the moment where Atreus defines himself as like either no, the designers are like no, we're not going to pass on the torch because we realize so many people love Kratos, so we're just going to keep Dad of War alive for a little longer, because there's tons of religious gods to go slay and all these things. So yeah, I don't know. To me, I just think that might be where the series is going, is she might be like taking Kratos' spot in the future expansions. Which, listen, I love Kratos so goddamn much. But I also, to me, that again, if they do it right, if they make it so that no, Atreus starts holding his own, starts becoming his own person, and if Kratos dies in a way that's like justified, not like getting murdered or like being pushed to like an inch of his life, but in some sort of way that seems fair. Because I feel like with all that Kratos has been through, he doesn't need to like die like a warrior Viking nonsense. You know what I mean? He needs to die like a very proud and happy dad. Okay, which maybe there's a in between, I don't know. Anyways, my friends, needless to say, I just love the ever-living hell out of this series. And yeah, I'm super excited to see what they do with it. They have me. To be honest, again, like I said, I hate it. Honestly, a lot of the PS5 games, I'm just like, you are missing me. I'm just dodging all this shit. I'm like, I'm not excited. It's whatever. Not for me. You know? And then they're like, hey, bitch. Hey, look at me. Sony's like, hey. Yeah, you think you're cute? You think you're playing games with me? Guess what, bitch? We got God of War. We got you by the balls already. Bow the fuck down, and I'm like, God damn you. God damn it. Because they do. I won't be getting a PS5 until this is probably like 3 more months into being close into my hands. So, yeah. So fucking God damn it. Literally nothing else. It just fuck. God damn these console exclusives. Anyways. I imagine playing this on PC, dude. Ooh. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, enough said. Enough of my hype aside. Very excited for this series. Very excited to see where it goes. Let's break down the minutia to everything in this trailer. Okay, so we got Kratos being a smoldering dad. I really hope they don't go back on what they did here, because at the end of God of War, the first game, it very much seemed like Atreus and you were starting to kind of like understand each other, and you finally did the thing that you were set out to do, which maybe there's an argument for like now they're without purpose, or now they're kind of at each other's throats because they're not striving towards a future that they both are wanting. Instead, they're kind of just like, what do we do with the future that we apparently now know is a reality? And you clearly tell in this whole thing that Kratos is kind of like at odds with that, of like, what the hell does it mean? What, like, should we ignore it? Like, I don't know, your mom seemed to have known. I imagine he feels a little betrayed by that as well, of like, what the fuck, hun? God damn you. Also, I wonder if this is playing into some sort of like like the form, because it very much seems like Atreus, especially with his power set, is very like deers, elk, etc. These kind of like beautiful animal. I wonder if this is going to be how, like, you know, it starts brimming with fire and fury, if this will be his kind of like more divine Norse kind of astral-looking appearance. Also, I didn't really recognize this, but at the beginning trailer for God of War, it was very much like Kratos teaching Atreus how to hunt. But now, Atreus, being a man of his own, can easily do that himself. Also, he can lug around a horse. Also, he has god power, so I guess that makes sense. Anyway, I don't know what this little rock thing is. Is this like something from his mom? I don't remember. It's been a hot minute since I played the game. Also, yeah, this is the whole thing. Atreus very much wants to be like his own man and figure out what the hell his past and present is. Like who the hell is Loki and what does that mean for him and all these things. Oh, I never realized how much sense that makes actually. Yeah, Loki is a half ice giant, and what do you call it? Kratos knew that his mom was a giant as well, an ice giant or whatever. So interesting. I guess that's poetic if Kratos and his son Loki are going to kill all of the Norse gods because what is his name? I can't. The fucking has no eye. He's a Mick a-hole. Odin. Yeah, it would make sense that he just fucking blitzkriegs Odin. Just get out of here kind of shit. So I guess that does make sense in terms of like what side they would be on. But of course, what do you call it? King of the Valkyries or God herself, whatever. Freya. Sorry, names are the worst with me. But he's over it. And apparently, I thought we dealt with Freya to some extent within the game. Surprised she's still getting cocky and coming at our boy Kratos. Anyways, we still have our iconic shield, and yeah, I'm hoping that because Kratos' gameplay is very like AoE and very explosive and like slow and powerful. So I wonder if there are sections where we play Atreus, if Atreus will get some sort of weapon, because I really don't want him to just be a bow person. I would like him to have like daggers and to like move really fast and to have like a different kind of gameplay loop, which is what they might leverage if they are planning on passing the torch to Atreus. Is Kratos' gameplay may eventually start seeming like, okay, I've been here, done that, and then they give us Atreus' gameplay and we're like, okay, our boy's a little fast, a little magic, okay, a little dodgy, all right, instead of like blocking. Also, Dad of War over it. I'm so happy he's still here. This is one of the best ideas ever executed in any video game. I wish so many other games did this, because I do not want to read pages and pages of lore. Nobody does. If you do, you're a weirdo, okay? But do I want to hear a very charming person who's relevant to the lore itself talk about it with a cute accent? Absolutely, yes. All right, loved this. I loved this a lot. Him just kind of being our like guide for the world, and also like kind of being like, it's hilarious because the vibe is very much like two gay dads who have no idea how to parent but are doing the damn best. And I love the vibe when you're just traversing and this guy keeps chiming in like, Kratos, we should tell him. He should know that he's a god. It's gonna eat away at him. And Kratos is like, no, I wish not. No. It's important that he doesn't, give in to his rage and all of these things. So I love that atmosphere. It's super funny. Yeah, this is it. Sledding. What is this called? Not dog sledding. I don't know. But yeah, it's awesome. Looks great. Looks like it's pretty well developed as always. You'll be hearing him chant and talk to you while you're just blitzkrieging through the land, all that. Yeah, so this is the new contention, is that now, I guess in Ragnarok, it's basically Ragnarok, where Loki and Kratos are going to be the end times of this whole land, and of course Atreus wanting to know who he is. Oh, is this? No, it's not. Okay, this looks like very similar to the landscape of the dead giants, so the giants that were all like, toppled over, and that whole land was destroyed. Also, man, yeah, like, oh, look at that. So now we actually have maybe a playable hub place, which would be amazing. So yeah, that was one of the things that I think God of War, my dog's popping up. That's one of the things I really wish they would have had in God of War, because it did feel like it was a story game where you were pushing forward, but there'd be these moments of time where you're kind of just doing this. Oh. Like Kratos being a dad is like sitting down on like a big puffy couch and it's like, oh, like a recliner, and it's just like, all right, we're gonna take a minute. And it would make more sense if you had like a hub where you are coming back to, where city and like new side quests and new enhancements for your armor is. While Kratos and Atreus now finally kind of have some sort of home and some sort of place to kind of set up shop and relax in. Also, yeah, these guys have a brand new shop, because at the end of the game last time they were all buddy, and also look at him. Yeah, I think this is what they're also trying to show you, is that back in the previous game Atreus was like basically the same height of them, maybe just a little bit higher, and now he is significantly taller than him. I still don't know if he's tall enough to take the mantle, although I do think Kratos is a tall boy. He's a very tall dad, okay, so I think that we're skewed. So I think if we played Atreus, you'd be like, actually, with the camera panning, it wouldn't be that weird. Also, we got new characters, weird. That's a hentai thing anyway. Also, maybe this is the merchant that we're going to be dealing with. Man, the character design in this game is so good. Also, everything looks so good. I just hope the gameplay is a little less, like, floaty. Like, the gameplay was amazing, but it did feel at times like where you just kind of were sitting there, like, executing combos and you couldn't react quite as fast. Maybe that was a point. But this is what people are also saying, that it looks like they maybe have tweaked the gameplay to be a little bit more like responsive, so you can switch to your blades, aim at an enemy, and then like just yank yourself to the enemy rather than having to sit there and be like boom and hit him, you know. So people are suspecting that they're gonna have this pulling mechanic that just pulls Kratos to them and not them to you, which was didn't really help because you want to get to where all the enemies are and start doing your AoE attacks, especially with the blades. But anyways, more contention within the story. Kratos is like, I don't know. I'm still a dad, okay? And Atreus still has his kid. So this is the thing that weirds me out a little bit. One of the best parts about the gameplay of God of War, in my opinion, is that God of War weirdly is like a summoning game. Like you have your toolkit. You have a Kratos' ability to like throw his special powers, use your like runes to do some cool powers and such. And then you have Square, which is entirely dedicated to your son, just doing some quick burst and stun damage, which is amazing. And if you level that up, your son can basically just blitzkrieg down an enemy by shredding him with arrows. It's awesome. So to me, if Kratos is like passing on the torch, or if there is going to be moments where there is going to be something like that, I really hope, because that was the thing that I hated the most in God of War, was when your son wasn't with you, because you didn't have such a fun gameplay aspect of throwing arrows, you know what I mean? And maybe that makes you value your kid as just a utility, I don't know, as well as being your son. But to me, if they did have parts where this girl right here was like it was Atreus and her, and she has some sort of other kind of support abilities as well, and then this is where, like, I don't know, Atreus has like 2 daggers and starts fucking people up that way, or maybe daggers that are smaller but kind of look reminiscent of the Blades of Chaos for Kratos, so that it's kind of like a homage to his dad or whatever. We're talking a lot. Sorry. But yeah, I don't know, I really hope that part of the gameplay gets like more depth flushed out. Also, yeah, your son just killing it. Looks like he has different abilities too. Boom, and yeah, you can detonate a lot. That's the other thing, that's like the only worry that I have in terms of the combat, is are we just gonna pick up right from the previous game, which I'd be okay with. I thought the God of War game when they left us, I still had like 50% more in me to keep playing the game, which is why I like the end game weird like dungeon area. Anyways, but I really hope they do add like different, because people aren't sure if are they gonna add new weapons. Or are they just going to keep the existing weapons and like strip us of our gems and our runes? What? Are we going to carry it over? That would be amazing, but I don't think that's true. But what are we going to do basically? We don't know. It looks like we're going to be using the same weapons, but just through a different lens. And I wonder if that's because they're going to use Atreus more and leverage Atreus having like more abilities and more things to do, so you don't want more weapons because you're barely able to wrap your head around like Atreus' toolkit. So you're gonna be swinging an axe with Kratos and casting all these runic abilities, but then you're also going to have more going on with Atreus. So maybe instead of hitting square a ton just for using his button, maybe you're gonna hold down RB, and then you're gonna have all of triangle, B, A, and square all at your disposal, or like more action abilities for Atreus to do things. Maybe, who knows? But this is what people are also saying, which is funny. But yes, people are saying we're probably gonna get Thor's hammer, and me and y'all were laughing about this on stream because people were like, "But what? I thought only people who are worthy can hold Mjolnir," and we're like, "No, guys, you are thinking that Marvel's Thor is what actual Thor was, and as is like Disney, No. No, it's very fucked up. The Norse mythos is pretty brutal, pretty rapey, pretty alcohol-y, pretty like fat, gross, gross bearded men doing horrible things, Viking raping, pillaging, and all this shit. Very reminiscent of that. So no, I think also if they do go to like use that as like a leverage point, who would be more worthy than the man that kills the man that was worthy, who's also a shitbag? Like Thor in the mythos of Norse mythos is a shitty person. He like kills, like in the previous game we heard about that, how he like killed a giant just cuz. He's like a monster. So if he's worthy, sure as shit anybody else like Kratos, if they mean worthiness is strength, if they mean worthiness of kindness, if they mean whatever, Kratos has proven himself to be worthy on many different fronts, so he should be able to wield this badass thing. But is this going to be the only thing that we're going to be able to utilize? So is it only just going to be, Mjolnir that's going to be the thing that we're going to be able to use, Thor's hammer? I don't know. I would hope that there's at least 2 more new weapons. And I hope that there's just like, they're not like all... It's kind of weird, because the reason why the previous game worked so well is because there was different enemy types where you would need to use the axe, you would need to use the Blades of Chaos. They did special elemental damage and all that stuff. I wouldn't like it, so if you had like 2 more weapons to quickly switch to and to use to quickly do your business, it would be a little excessive. So I think it would be cool if you had just more options. So if you didn't like the axe in the way that it kind of feels slow, maybe you could use, the hammer. Maybe it's a little bit more fast but less range, so you need to get really on top of people and start like beating them in that way. Maybe this is like a weapon that you use with the hammer, but also your fists and your shield. So you're more like doing fisticuffs with a hammer in your hand rather than this big ass axe. Anyways, just something to consider. I'm curious to see how the gameplay will evolve. Although as much as a lot of us love the gameplay, I was more like the gameplay was amazing, especially with Atreus. But I'm mainly there for our boys, our characters, Dad of War. As people don't say gameplay of war. It's because you want to see Kratos be a dad and go through the whole mess of it. Anyways, also apparently, I'm not sure if, I might show you guys in a hot minute here, but apparently like Thor is looking chunky AF. So people are like, they don't like fat Thor again. Come on, guys, come on. Also, yeah, some brutal takedowns. It does look like it's God, like what we got. I think a lot of people were so surprised by God of War because they played the previous games and they're like, okay. Basically, I think people are suspecting like another entirely unexpected and crazy experience where it's like, no, it was a reboot. Now this is part 2 of the reboot. So it's not like this is another reboot. But anyways, yeah, we're fighting some badass where did they go? No, but basically like deer men people. They don't look like horsemen though, so I guess that's the difference. Norse may have there's the mix between a stag or a deer and a man, which is not like not minotaur. What is it called? You know what I mean? The people that are horsemen. Anyways, also yeah, it looks like craziness again, like a giant action set piece. Again, we're fighting the same kind of enemies we fought. I wonder why. No, Trace is getting over there. Okay. Yeah, and we're just fucking, yeah. There's so many moments in the game where like Kratos just grabs someone and just starts fucking hitting them and just like, gah, gah. You just feel him like dig in and like grab like a ravenous gorilla and just fucking pound something to death. It's wild. Anyways, again, some of these abilities are very reminiscent of the previous game, so I'm curious to see if they're just gonna like de-upgrade us from the previous game or what. I don't know, that would be a little bit less good. I could see them like taking away all of our abilities and then being like, you randomly find the same ones again. Ooh. And I'm like, well, that seems less good. Seems less good. But yeah, see, this is the moment where we're like, here we go, baby. This is where Atreus starts becoming a main character a little bit. We'd love to see it. He's someone towards a badass stag/deer. I don't know, he's got weird curved horns. But he's just fucking up shit, going buck wild. Love it. Although it does seem like Atreus, like that's kind of a move that signifies that, what do you call it, Atreus doesn't have 100% control over his ability yet, which I'm assuming will be the whole part. And then apparently, again, it makes sense. We're gonna go get the God of War tier to like, and in combination with Atreus to basically cause Ragnarok or something to that effect. It'll be interesting. But I wonder if there's going to, because it seems like we actually get Tyr pretty fast, probably in the pursuit to figure out how the hell we're going to deal with Thor. But I wonder how that's going to play, because I could see them playing with that where, like, if Kratos is the god of war and he is his dad, Atreus' his dad, this is the god of war, but for his homeland, for Norse mythology. So I could see there being some weird contention here, maybe, that they would do, where Tyr is, like, Atreus starts looking up to Tyr because he wants to know about his power range and how his Norse powers can flourish and activate and do things, and reasons for that. But it would be also sick. It would be fucking badass if Tyr starts kind of creating like a kinship with Atreus, and then like you were basically, Atreus was trained by the Norse god of war, and his dad is the other god of war. So what the fuck would Atreus be, man? That is sick. That'd be so cool. Anyways, that'd be wild. That'd be absolutely wild to see like Atreus be like, I was trained by both monsters in the world, and I'm cunning, and I have no chill factor. Because that's Loki, right? He's able to just be an assassin. Anyways, but also, he is a tall boy. I'm not sure if they're going to be best friends. That could be me overreaching. I just think it'd be a cool prospect of Atreus being trained by him, because it does seem like Kratos can train the Zeus and I can't forget the mythology, but yeah, the Greek god kind of mentality of like rage, conquest, and all that stuff. But he also needs to learn his other aspects, and I would love if like Kratos eventually pivoted and like actually helped him start unwinding all that stuff. But I don't know. I'm not sure. I feel like it would also make sense for Atreus to start learning how to use his abilities from Tyr, the god of war in the Norse mythos. So that way he's learning about... But also, man, that's the thing I'm also hoping about. I'm hoping that, like, we get to see... Because we never really got to see. We got to see it in, like, small moments. But, like, we know Atreus is very in touch with his Norse power. That's what he's been using for majority of the game. But we still have not seen Atreus fully accept the fact that he also has a god of war, a Kratos' blood going through his veins, and seeing what the hell that looks like. So I could see there being a dynamic here, especially if Atreus' question is in his head, is who the hell is Loki, and why did my mom, who I love to pieces, have this be a centerpiece? For him to really want to understand that part of himself, that part of power. And I could see Tyr helping Atreus with that, but then I could also see maybe Tyr backstabbing him, or maybe Tyr being a shitty person, or maybe just him being like, okay, well, now that I know this part about myself, maybe at the end of the game is when he starts unraveling his god of war, his Kratos, his that energy, and then maybe at that point we start rooting for him, because I could see there being some bullshit. Like, I don't know, just when watching the trailer, I think a lot of us felt like, oh no, our little Atreus is turning into a fucking annoying teenager who's just an asshole, and poor Kratos, not prepared at all. So funny. Anyways, but yeah, I think that's something we could experience in the game, maybe. Who knows? Again, the story in this game has always been pretty hard to pin down, you know what I mean? Like you wouldn't have expected it's gone the way it's went, and where you kind of have to dig your way out of. But I'm very excited for the game. I'm sure all of us are. There's so many cool little tiny pieces in here. I wish there was more gameplay to see, but also I feel like that's the point, is like, yeah, are there pretty good odds that we're going to get one of the most iconic Norse weapons ever? Yes. Probably we're going to get Thor's hammer. But I feel like they like to make that like unraveling stuff. Like they never mentioned that we were going to be able to get access to the Blades of Chaos in any of the promotional trailers of the game. So I could see them giving us 2 new weapons, or maybe giving a weapon to Atreus. So I could see them like upgrading Kratos with 1 more new weapon, just so there's not too much to now manage in your head of like, okay, this boss needs to get fought by this weapon, this guy needs to get fought by that weapon. I could see them instead saying, okay, well, what about Atreus? Atreus only ever had a bow. What if we give him like some daggers? Okay, what if we give him maybe this cool ability to do some mass AoE damage? All right. Maybe at the end of the game, he finally starts like channeling Kratos, and maybe he even starts using, instead of his tiny little assassin blades, his fucking dad's Blades of Chaos, except he uses them in an entirely different way, utilizing their speed and not necessarily like their weight and meatiness. We'll see. And I really hope this person is like a character that acts as like a third hang along or like companion, because if she's just here for a little bit, that's gonna be shitty, because I think she's a Valkyrie if I'm not mistaken, or maybe not. No, the Valkyries we already dealt with. I don't know who she is in the Norse mythos, but her design is beautiful, like insanely cool. Like I would love to see this character with Atreus or with Kratos in the coming games, hence why when I seen her I was like, I hope she is like a part of the game's future, but maybe she's just a character where she's like, you found the heaven, whatever it is, fucking the tree of life or afterlife, whatever. I forget what the thing is, the heaven of Norse mythology. But yeah, maybe she's a part of that. Maybe it's just a one-off character where it's just like, yeah, no, she looks great, but she'll be gone. But just her character design, I'm like, come on, guys, keep her in the game. She looks great. Maybe she's an asshole, though, so maybe I regret saying all this because maybe she's rude. I don't know. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys think about God of War. Are you guys excited? Are you guys worried? Are you guys like, oh no, I gotta buy a PS5? Shit. Well, luckily, you can't buy them anyway. So it's a matter of like, ugh. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited. Again, let me know what you guys think, where the story will pan out. I'm betting on, I don't know. I'll be honest. I can't even say I'll make a bet. I feel so unsure of like where it will go. It could like, yeah, I know the designer's plan is to eventually pass the torch on to Atreus. I just think Atreus is a little too young right now, but it would make sense that if we, at the end of the game, with him being like 15 or 14, he basically kind of comes into his own, like shows flickers of like being able to wield Kratos' power as well as his Norse power, and perfectly becoming this weird hybrid. And then in the next the next game, that's when we go to Egypt, and that's when we get to play as like it's 4 years in the future, and now Atreus is actually like somewhat a grown man. Because I believe in the previous God of War, the original God of War, Kratos was pretty young too. He wasn't like a 40 or 30-year-old man. You know what I mean? I don't think, at least. Could be all wrong on that, but anyways, yeah, I could see that being the way that they maybe do it, but I don't know. I still think, I don't know if they would lose Kratos this soon, because people love the shit out of Kratos, and I do too. I was so warmly surprised at God of War though, that I'm like, you guys can do whatever you want. I trust entirely, probably too much, that you will just give me something that I think I would fall in love with, just because you've done such a good job in the previous game. Have at her, you know? So I'm excited. I can't wait. I love it. Just give me more of the same and I'll be happy, to be honest. But I'm hoping you guys do throw in some shit. Yeah. Be cool to see how our boy progresses. Both boys. But ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you do enjoy the rest of your day when God of War comes out. And maybe if there's any new gameplay, we may break it down in the trailer. Get excited about it again. All that stuff. But at last, my friends, hopefully I can see you again. Also, hopefully you shared this video around or gave it a like. Appreciate all the support as always, my friend. Thank you once again and goodbye.